Ian Machado Garry. He joins us right now to talk about it all. There's the man. How are you, sir?
Hey, sir. How are you? How you getting on?
Listen, you know you're a big deal. Now all of a sudden you win on a pay-per-view in Las Vegas. You're a father. You could show up late. I remember. I remember the first time. I remember the first time Conor was late too.
Okay, look at this. I've been on time almost every time.
I know. Now you're a big shot. Now you're a big shot.
You know that Layla has me here, sat down 5 minutes before I'm ready to go. We're just setting things up pretty for you. That's all.
Sure. I mean, yeah, you're 11 minutes late. That's better than 15 minutes late. No problem. It's all good. Listen, this is what happened. There she goes with your baby right in the back. I think that was your baby, right? Was she holding the baby?
Yeah. Aaron's blaming you for being 7
No,
minutes
I'm not.
late.
That is not nice.
That's what he did.
I do not want the wrath of a new mom. No, thank you. Well, congratulations, my friend. What a week for you. Holy smokes. First, can I ask, like, we saw the scenes of you and Conor in the back. Was that the first time you saw Conor in person since the picture at the suit store?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it was. It was obviously coming out here, I knew that he was filming Tough. And I said to myself, I don't care how, I'm gonna cross paths him at one point in time. And yeah, at the weigh-ins, I was just about to do an interview, and the guys from BT Sport were like, Ian, Conor's here. I was like, all right, where is he? And they were like, oh, we don't know. I was like, but he's in the building. I was like, okay. And then one of the guys goes, Ian, points, and I just went, all right, see ya. I'm not waiting for some like crossing at the bar. I'm going to make sure it happens myself. I went up to him and he's like, oh, Ian. It was pretty awesome. Even the fact that when I turned the corner, he instantly was like, Eno, there you are.
Wow. What does that mean?
Eno.
Eno.
It's just what people call me.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. But it was just cool to see him he shook my hand and he started pounding my chest, telling me I'm a champion, that I'm going to be a champion, that he appreciates all the love and respect and support I've given him. And I just said to him, you motivated me to be here. I can't do enough to get back to you.
To have that meeting, to have that little chat before this massive fight, did you feel like you were even more revved up for it? Like, did it give you a boost?
100%. I mean, he's the guy that inspired my entire nation to want to fight and train MMA. I mean, the scenes when Conor was on the rise was nuts, and I'm that kid who was the first of a generation to make it into UFC because of his run. And for me to have that and to move forward and to see him and go into a fight week knowing that he's saying that he's going to be there, that he's behind me, that he's with me, it's like, that's pretty empowering for a young man who's hearing that from the guy that inspired him.
Mm-hmm. My understanding was you wanted to be on this card more so than in 2 weeks in London. Why is that?
Yeah. Jon Jones.
Jon
Jones. 100%. If you look at the card, firstly, I'd much rather fight in Vegas than London. I enjoyed Vegas. I enjoyed being around the PI. I enjoyed the ability to be able to go and get therapy and meet these amazing people and have the ease and the lifestyle of what Vegas brings, as opposed to London. It's also closer to where I train, which is Florida. And I enjoy the atmosphere around the fight nights in Vegas, especially in pay-per-views. And to know that I'm going to be sharing the card with the GOAT was something that I wanted off my kind of bucket list, is to share the card with Jon Jones. This year, I'm going to share the card with my two favorite fighters. I'm going to share it with Jon Jones, just done, and I'm going to get to share it with Conor towards the end of this year.
You're shooing for that card.
For sure. It has to happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It would be silly not to do it.
Exactly. It doesn't make sense to not have that kind of Irish, that Irish allegiance show up.
What was your conversation like with Jon?
So I was walking through the Apex when we were doing media day, and he was like, "Oh, it's a baby," and he's like stood up and he's like, "Can I hold him?" I was like, "Of course you can." And then he turned to me, he's like, "Hey, how are you?" I was like, "Good, no complaints." He's like, "Undefeated, right?" I'm like, "Fuck!" I'm like, Layla, he knows, and Layla's like, "Don't say it out loud." I'm like, "Why?" I was like, "Jon Jones knows that I'm undefeated." And he's like, no, I've watched your fights. He's like, you're really, really solid. And I said to him, I like take a lot of your game and try to implement it into what I do. And he was like, oh, really? I was like, yeah. I was like, he was like, that's a huge compliment. I was like, well, you're the best to ever do it, in my opinion. I was like, you're the GOAT. I was like, so why wouldn't I want to look at what you do and what you've had success with and add it into my style in any way, shape, or form? And even when you look at the fight that I just had on Saturday, a lot of the things I did were from watching Jon Jones.
Oh, like what?
Well, you see, towards the end of the second round, I started to kind of open my arms out and start touch Song's hand and then put a jab straight down the middle. And that was because when you reach out to someone, they can't just keep their hands here because you're dominating the hand fight, right?
Uh-huh.
So they have to reach back, which means they've opened up their guard. Now, they're thinking about the hands, which means you can start to stab and chop at the leg. And I started using that stab kick to the knee, which is something we've seen Jon Jones have a lot of success with. I think Joe Rogan calls it the elliptical kick. And then just being nice and long and rangy and just being patient. I spoke to Jon about his patience. It's a skill in and of itself. When you're in a fight and adrenaline's rushing through your body and you've got a man in front of you who's got aggression in his eyes and like wants to hit you as hard as they can, it's a skill to be able to be patient and know when to go for the finish. And I believe Jon is one of the very best to ever do it. And I always see that when I watch his fights. And I think the best example is the Daniel Cormier fight. When he caught him with the head kick and Daniel was on wobbly legs, he just kind of stalked him, put his hands out, made it awkward, and then caught him with a leg kick, sent him spinning. And even then, he still didn't jump on him. He followed him, he stalked him, wait till he fell down, and then he pounced. And that's a skill that a lot of young fighters around my age and even veterans have yet to master. And I believe I'm working on it and I'm mastering it to an extent. And it's because I see someone like him have so much success that I want to emulate it into my game.
What happened towards the end of the first round?
So I was a fucking idiot. That's what happened. I said to myself, if you even watch the corner, I went back and told my corner exactly what happened. And I was like, it's my fault. I fucked up. I'd done a shot that I knew would put me at danger. And I didn't, I don't know why I did it. I went jab to the body and then I went jab high. And every time I was going high, he was bringing his elbows up. He didn't want any damage on his face. So he started bringing his elbows up. So I ripped the body with the right. And I'm like, fuck, I could see him down if I go for like a left liver shot. And then, yeah, don't do that. Because you'll leave yourself open for like a left hook or a big power shot. And then I fucking did it anyway. So it's my fault for getting a bit greedy. And I've no one else to blame other than myself. And I knew it before I threw the shot. I still threw it because I got greedy. And that's where you, again, have to bring yourself back and be composed. And that was one of the first times I've ever made a big mistake in my career. And I won't do it again.
How buzzed were you?
So I got cracked. I didn't even know I got sat down. I thought I got dropped to a knee, which is, again, just shows me how aware I was in the situation because I got cracked and then I was just looking for the cage. Get me to the cage, get me to the cage, get me to the cage. I knew he was hitting me with some ground and pound shots from the side. They didn't bother me. None of them were going to knock me out. If he didn't knock me out with the first one, he's definitely not going to knock me out with those little ones. So for me, it was just don't worry, don't stress. You've been hit, it's okay. Get to the cage, work your way back up. When you get to the cage, he's going to have to wrestle. If he tries to stand away and break away and strike, which is what most people will do, great, I'll move. I'm way faster than people. I don't care if I've been a bit buzzed. I'll get out.
Okay.
I'm quick. And if I want to use my hands to kind of be a barrier, I will. So it was a great shot. It was when you look at the slow-mo of it was perfect. So I made a mistake. He capitalized. And I recovered well. So if anything, it just shows that not only do I talk the talk and walk the walk, but when something goes wrong and adversity needs to be overcome, I overcome it and I pass it with flying colors because in round 2 and round 3, I fucking lit him up.
Yeah.
And even in round 1, I dominated that entire fight from start to finish, except from that one shot that led to him having a little bit of success. Other than the mistake that I made, he didn't have success.
I thought he made a critical mistake afterwards by, trying to get you up against the cage and doing what he was doing. Had he separated, perhaps he would have had more success, right? They mentioned that on the broadcast. I was thinking, wow, what a mistake this is.
I mean, when you rock someone and they're kind of, not necessarily they don't know where they are, because when I got hit, there's 2 or 3 kind of ways a fighter will fall. They'll either fall stiff and they're out. They'll kind of be a bit wobbly and not know where they are, or they get cracked and they kind of see that flash. I kind of seen that flash. It was just like, whoa, okay, that was a good shot. And what I remembered was just looking at him and then rolling to my knees. That was what I remembered. And when you look back at it, you can see when I'm going down, I start to make eye contact with him. And that shows, okay, it was a good shot. I got caught, but I'm still in it.
Okay.
When we stood up, it was me pushing him to the cage, not the other way around. So I was the one who forced him to the cage because I knew, one, if I am on wobbly legs, I've got a little bit of support behind me. 2, I'm comfortable here. I feel comfortable wrestling against the cage because out in the open, we've seen many, many people where they capitalize on jumping on a choke or jumping on something. When you get to the cage, it kind of shuts down that kind of avenue of jumping on stuff. You have to be a bit more methodical with your approach because they can defend themselves better. So in all of that, where I was caught, I was put down, and I reacted and I recovered, everything I did was still right. And absolutely, had he have broken away, would he have more success? I believe so, yes. But that's not to say that the second he breaks away that I wouldn't have started opening up shots on him. So we don't know. But if it was me, I would have potentially looked to go like to pull me on my back, like to pull me flat. And for him to let go of the grips and stand up and start doing what I did on the finish, which is just try to hammer fist away. I believe when he joined his hands was the reason that he was where he failed.
I saw you posted a photo of him afterwards, and some people didn't like that.
I don't give a fuck. Hey, at the end of the day, I've spoken about this multiple times. The only thing that brings not an animosity, but a sense of aggression towards my opponent is knowing that they have signed a contract which believes that that person thinks they can beat me. I take that personally. I'm like, okay, so you think you can beat me? I'm going to show you can. And that's all I ever have to do. I don't have to worry about anyone else. I don't have to worry about all this top 10 or anyone who's calling me out or anything else. I signed a contract to fight one guy, and he signed it to fight me. I signed it knowing I can win that fight, knowing that I can beat that person. And I believe that anyone who signs a contract against me believes the same thing. So I take it personally. I'm like, okay, let me show you can. Let me prove to you that you're not good enough to do what you think you can do. So when I posted that photo, that's my art. That's my work. That's what I've just gone out and done. This is martial arts. It's an art form. It's a way of utilizing and manipulating my physical body to absolutely lump around another human who's trained and trying to do the same thing to me. And it's basically like Kenan's song was my canvas. And that was the work of art that I had done, was the damage on his face. And when you look at a lot of my opponents, they always look like that. They always look like that because I just pick away at them. All my shots, I'm not one of those people who comes out and swings haymakers. Everything is cool and calculated. And they're stiff, they're strong, like they hurt. If you look at all four of my opponents in the UFC, they've all come out with like welts on their face or on their legs, or like everything that they've been cut up, they've been bruised, they've been bloody. It's just what I do. I hit hard, I hit fast, and I hit very accurate. And I find it beautiful what I did in that cage.
Speaking of that, and speaking of comparisons, the uppercut that you threw towards the end reminded me a lot of Conor. The way you said that, you know what I mean? Like how you were so precise with it, and the way you set it up. Yes, was very Conor-like. By the way, did you see him afterwards? Did you speak to him at all? He was in the building, of course. Any interaction?
No, he was in the building. I didn't see him or speak to him afterwards. I know he tweeted saying "your little days," which is cool again. But no, I didn't cross paths, and I'm very grateful and very blessed to have been able to cross paths him for once in 1 week. Do you know what I mean? More than once would be even more special. But I'll take what I got. I'm very happy that we even got that little interaction.
What was up with this guy? Speaking of people thinking they could beat you, it seemed like you were waiting in line somewhere, and this dude's saying like,
Oh,
"Don't try me." What is this guy all about?
this fucking idiot, right? I'm stood there with my whole team,
Yeah.
right? I'm stood there with about 8, 9 people. And Grandma Khabib came up to me. I was like, hey, Ian, can I have a photo? I was like, of course you can, yeah. So we started talking, we started chatting. She was like, you know who I really need to get? And I'm like, who? She's like, Conor, but God, those tickets are going to be so expensive. I was like, well, you can still wait outside. And while I'm chatting with her, I just hear this guy shouting and screaming from coming through like where all the cars were. And he's like, bro, that's the easiest fucking 50K I've ever made in my life. He's like, I'm fucking awesome. And he's just screaming and shouting. And I don't know why he's off his face or what he was doing. But then he just bumped into me. And I just turned around to him. I went, hey, relax. And he turns around and goes, oh, what? I'm like, huh? And I just laugh. And I'm like, I just start laughing. And I look at him. I'm like, sorry? And he's like, oh, what? He's like, I'm a fighter. I do this shit. I'm like, oh, really?
Yeah.
Really? You do this shit? He's like, yeah, you don't want any of this smoke. And then his fat little mate is stood there in his fucking pink blazer going, yeah, you don't want any of this. I'm like, meanwhile, Layla's just stood there in front of me with the baby going, Ian, if you do anything, you lose your visa. You're not going to be able to fight here. And I'm just like eyeballing this guy at this point. And Layla's looking at me going, is he moving? I'm like, no. And if he moves a step closer, I'm going to fucking kick him in the balls. And I just started emptying my pockets because I was like, the way I looked at him, it looked like he was on like coke or something because he wasn't thinking. So I just slowly emptied my pockets and was just like trying to pass them back because I was going to just drop it and go, if you come closer to me. I'm here with all my friends and family. Like my wife's there, my baby's there. I've got my nutritionist, I've got my strength and conditioning coach, I've got teammates, I've got my management there. I'm like, if this guy's going to fucking look at me like that and try to be a dick in front of all these, I could hear people going, does this guy fucking know who he's talking to? I'm like, it was so funny.
Sounds like he didn't, right?
There's no way he
okay.
There's no way, because if he did, he would have shot himself the minute I looked at him. But he was off his face. And it was just like, Ariel, I've never been in a fight outside the octagon because I'm too smart. But like, it took everything in me with the way he was eyeballing me not to go at him. It was like he wanted to kill me with the way he looked at me. And I was like, I'm going to put you unconscious. If you take one step forward or say one more word, I'm going to end you. But I had to keep it cool because I'm a professional athlete and this isn't how it'd be a bad rep for the sport and everything. So it's just like, just stand there, look him in the eyes. If he wants to kind of dick measure with me, fine. At the end of the day, there's no way he's going to win. So leave him be. I'm sure he went off and had a great night.
What are the chances you fight April 8th in Miami?
I'd like to think very high. I'd love to fight in April 8th. Obviously, I don't know if the UFC will be able to turn around that much. I spoke to Sean Shelby before March 4th, telling him I wanted April 8th as well, that I'm going to go in here, I'm going to finish this fight, and I'm not going to get injured. And he said, we'll see what we can do. Obviously, let's take March 4th and see how you get on, because you never know with a fight. It's a fight at the end of the day. You could break your hand with one shot. So when I get on the mic afterwards, it's like, hey, Sean, Dana, Hunter, let's make this happen. I mean, I live half an hour from where we're fighting. Let's get it on. I mean, to turn around in 5 weeks and have 2 performances, 2 finishes back to back after being away from the sport, to take time out to be a dad and to be there for my wife. It's a nice way to kind of get the ball rolling again and show the MMA world that I'm back and that I'm here to stay.
Do you have a preference as to who you would fight?
I wanted to fight Brian Barberena because I called him out.
Yeah.
But he obviously took the short notice fight against Gunnar Nelson. There's people I'm looking at. I've seen Michael Moraes. He's an undefeated 14-0. I've seen him comment eye emojis on my post. I'm game for that. There's other people then when I look at it, like Alex Morano, he's got a 4-fight win streak. It'd be nice to kind of go in and take on someone of his caliber. I know I've seen people online tag me and Nico Price. It's like, at the end of the day, I don't really give a fuck. There's a lot of options. There's a lot of people that offer different skill sets, different stylistic matchups. And that's on Sean Shelby and the UFC to go, right, we want to give you this guy and see what he's going to test you. At the end of the day, a lot of people do this online and they don't sign the contracts. So if Sean Shelby sends me a contract with anybody's name on it, I'll sign it, I'll send it off, and I'll fight in April 8th. That's my goal. I want to do it. I don't see why I couldn't make that happen.
What was it like to fight as a father for the first time? And not only that, have your son there?
Oh, Ariel, it was hella emotional. Hella emotional. The morning, so the afternoon of my fight at around like 1:00, I had a good cry outside by the pool.
Wow.
Just thinking, yeah, I was thinking like I was just looking at my wife while she was jiggling my baby to sleep, and I'm looking at him, going, "Fuck! I wish one of my best mates was here. He's the godfather of Leo, my boy." And I was like, I wish he was here. And I kind of got emotional about him because I look up to him as like an older brother figure. And I lost my older brother. So I got emotional about that, thinking about, oh, I wish he was here. And like my family and kind of the people I looked up to were always with me. Had a little cry about that. And then my wife sent me a photo while I was back in the dressing room about an hour before I was fighting. And it was her holding my little boy up outside the T-Mobile Arena in front of the UFC sign. And I seen it, and just tears of joy came to my face. I started sobbing in the back of the changing room. I was showing my corner. I was like, "Look at this photo." And they're like, "Oh wow, that's beautiful." And I'm like, "All right." It just, nothing is more important than my little boy and my wife and my family and everyone being happy and safe and healthy. And for them to be there to support me, to do what I love to do more than anything else in life, which is fight, is just amazing. It's the best feeling, knowing that my wife and son are up in the stands, enjoying watching, daddy and husband in the cage, living what he likes to do the most. It's my favorite thing in the world to go into the octagon, and I don't fight for anyone else other than myself. It's my passion. It's my love. It's what gets me up in the morning. And for them to get any ounce of excitement or joy from me fighting is just, it's pretty special.
That is lovely. And you could tell how much it means to you. And I appreciate that very much. By the way, I saw afterwards in that snazzy tuxedo, you talking to your teammate, Michael Chandler. Is this going to get awkward? What's going to happen? I mean, he knows where your allegiances lie, right? Did you tell him, "Hey, Mike, I like you and all, but I'm not rooting for you in September or whenever they fight"?
I don't think I need to say that. At the end of the day, firstly, I'm a fan of the sport, right? I'm a fan of MMA, and I think it's a great stylistic matchup. I think it's a great matchup for the fans. I think that nobody loses this fight because, one, both guys are going to change their families again. Not that Conor necessarily needs it, but more money isn't a bad thing. But like for both guys to go in there, like this is going to be one of the biggest fights. It'll be the biggest fight of this calendar year, without a shadow of a doubt. They'll both make a heap load of money. The winner will obviously go up the ranks and get one step closer to a title shot. And the fans are the real winner because Chandler has arguably had the 5 best fights in the UFC. When you look at from your debut to your current fight, every single fight he's been in has been an absolute barn burner, and the fans have enjoyed every single second of it. Then you've got the greatest showman that we've ever seen in the sport going head to head. Conor's my inspiration. He's a fellow countryman. He's inspired and motivated so many kids my age and people of all ages in Ireland to be better and to follow their dreams and do what it is that they love. So my allegiance isn't argued. It's Team Conor. But I still want to see Chandler do well. I still want to see an exciting fight. I was saying to him when I seen him, I was like, do me one favor, Chandler. Do me one favor. Don't go wild. Because he gets into that octagon and it's like he has no understanding of what fight IQ is. And he just goes, smash. Let's just swing everything I have into every shot. And if you do that with Conor, he's going to knock you out. He's going to clip you. He's going to catch you because he's fast. Whereas I think if we see him mix it up, wrestle, get involved in some like filthy scrambles, he could tire Conor out, and then it becomes an even more interesting fight because both of them will be a little bit gassed. They're both going to be swinging bombs. So I'm Team Conor, and I'm not budging on that. There's no way in hell I'll ever budge on that.
I appreciate that. Lovely stuff, Ian. Very happy for you. Congratulations on the win. Congratulations on everything. I hope you get to be on that card on April 8th. That'll be a great story. And
who would you like me to find out?
Honestly, it doesn't matter. At this point, I don't think it matters just yet. You're just racking up the wins at this point.
Exactly.
And I think that's fine. I didn't know if you had a specific name, but it doesn't matter at this point. Just get those wins, get that highlight reel a little longer, and this is going to be a big year for you. So I'm looking forward to
100%.
seeing how it all plays out. Well done, my friend. We'll talk to you soon, all right?
Appreciate you, Errol. Have a great show. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much. There he is, Ian Machado Garry, with the big win on Saturday, 11-0 now. And yeah, when Conor McGregor fights, he'll probably be on that card. That makes all the sense